aba no de ko so bia sekra no untimi identify the obede no.
Forensic scientists were called in.
Government has given authorization for DNA tests to be conducted on the bodies from the disaster that have not yet been identified.
If you bring us 1,000 cases, we could do those 1,000 cases on a single run. We are talking about something like 300 to 400. So 400 individual samples can be analyzed at one go.
Some other times they want you to link the sample to a reference, in this case probably a suspect.
Bones and teeth, no matter how burnt a body is, can most of the time be useful in identifying a person. It takes a lot longer to decompose or burn.
Before somebody gets bent beyond recognition, you're talking about in the region of 200, 300 degrees Celsius. But still, there are certain things in the body that takes longer to burn. So, for example, you can get nails, you can get brain matter, and sometimes you can still get some flesh from the body that is not completely burnt.
Samples will be taken from the victim and also their relatives, which would be able to determine which body belongs to whom. I'm told by the forensic scientists that the closer, the easier it is. For instance, if it's father, mother, or brother, it's a lot easier than perhaps maybe cousins, uncles. It doesn't mean that they can't do it. Even cousins, uncles, other relatives, they will still be able, but of course you will not get a perfect match.
Sunrise on 3FM, the best in the morning.
4 major hospitals have received 501,000 cedis from government as initial payment for cost of medical treatment of victims of the June 3 disaster. Kolebu received a total of 98,800 for inpatients and outpatients treatments. 37 military hospitals received 306,000. Bridge Hospital had 60,200 cedis, with the police hospital collecting 35,900 cedis.
Initially, when the issues occurred, when the disaster occurred, I think that there was a certain need to ramp up the commodities that were required. So I think that initially that had happened. Patients with burns can be in hospital depending on the degree of burns for any period from a couple of weeks to several months.
The medical professionals considered the severity of the burns, depth of tissue damage, location of burns, and associated injuries from the floods.
So long as it has to do with the burns that were suffered on the 3rd of June, then they'll be taken care of, because you would realize that some of the patients have even already been discharged, and then they come daily to the hospital for dressing of their wounds and so on. Some may require what medical doctors call skin grafting and so on. All that will be covered by government.
In response to the June 3 disaster, TV3 set up a 10 million cedi support fund for the victims of the twin disaster.
I declare my solidarity with all the bereaved in this national tragedy. It is indeed a sad reflection on the state of maintenance and the general lack of continuity in our development process as a nation that has brought us to where we are today.
Corporate organizations and individuals responded swiftly with cash and other consumables. Food, mattresses, and other items were later distributed to some of the over 50,000 displaced by the floods.
We received a bag of rice, a bag of sachet water, got 1 bottle of fried oil, and I've got 2 tins of milk. So at least it can sustain me for some days.
I am very grateful. I also need money, but I'm grateful for these gifts.
TV3 has gathered that some weed smokers in the area are a key part of the June 3 disaster.
We phone say I'm some test say petrol was petrol no by no be anim say sanity. The West Meet, so now, West End, now, only 2 penna. By
various factors from the people, what could have been the cause of that fire. But we also talked to people that also said that really there were people that really threw naked fire onto it.
A weed smoker, also a victim of the disaster, is now in the grips of the police as suspect and is to aid investigations. In addition to investigations conducted by the fire service, a 5-member committee has been inaugurated to investigate and recommend how to avoid such disasters.
Now, whether the tank is full of fuel or water or both, and the extent to which these things can be found, so I will know how to assess the cause of the fire or why the fuel overflowed and went on top of the flooded water. So that's what we are doing right now. So now we have established that there's some amount of water in it. How the water got in there will be determined later on, because water is not supposed to go there.
Sunrise on 3FM, the best in the morning.
2 weeks after the disaster, massive cleanup exercises began in different communities at different times. The turnout was impressive, but by late Sunday night, after the rains, several communities were engulfed in filth. At Alaju, the results were visible. Heaps of refuse remained uncollected. Close by, this food vendor went about her business despite being affected by the floods of June 3.
What is a cholera outbreak in Accra? What is it? I'm at cholera. What they were run super high. And so I know mom better than so baby. Let's say baby stay. And your mom so yeah best so can't buy.
We walked through mud, alleys, and used bad roads. Not much has changed.
Not the Ghana water pipeline. It's actually from water from bathroom that is supposed to pass through this alley out to the drains. You can see people still have their mattresses here. And then on this wall to my right, there are people drying their blankets. Bathrooms have taken part of blankets. You can see pillows, pillowcases, pillows that people were using in their bedrooms, also left there to dry up. But I doubt that it can be reused.
Mattress level in the room.
Whose mattress is this?
The next lady beside me.
Okay. But does she have a new mattress now?
No. What's he? Now we have this.
My documents, car documents in the say Nina.
To say who say it me flooded, son, to me relocating Uncle Baby Fufro.
Okay, said and flooded too much sad. And Tinusi and yes, I know. A woman who said in the year, maybe 5 years or 10 years time, it can be more than what happened last time. And you see, I know you're taking this, she said, I see a baby.
At Circle, it was unnerving. Most of the people in this community were affected. Friends, colleagues, and relations perished during the disaster. There was no surprise that the streets were abandoned. The heaps of refuse grabbed our attention. The shoulders of the roads was engulfed in filth.
This house is already flooded, so it's raining today, but the place is flooded, so nobody can stay in this room.
Most of the survivors watched their belongings go up in flames or taken away by the rains. It is not clear which areas have been demarcated for demolition. Demolition of structures in waterways has come with knee-jerking reaction in spite of the perennial flooding. The stopgap measure we gathered have come with little or no compensation. City authorities, however, maintain compensation is paid to people who bear legitimate documents to the lands they occupy.
The best in the morning is on 92.7
with
Sunrise on 3FM.
And structures have been built on them. Number one, it is not safe for the people who are living in those structures. Because given the level of rain and the flooding that we had, should we have a second, my fears is that the structures in which they are living in can all be washed away, and hundreds of people could be washed away.
92.7 Sunrise on 3FM.
The June 3 disaster generated discussions on safety at filling stations.
And if anything should happen, it will affect us, okay? But then we also need a filling station because some people come to for their cars and everything.
Filling station bro ha no akobubu and su bi anfa obribi anfa but later no ye be hunu no bi nso de ne property aba be si wo.
The public was cautioned to stay away from filling stations during the rains. Concerns about siting fuel stations close to homes is still an ongoing debate.
Is on 92.7
Some of the stations came to us asking for permits. We went, did the assessments. There was a basis for giving them the permits. The permits were issued. After the issuance of the permits, they added on activities that were not permitted in the original permits that were issued to them.
Porters, petty traders and taxi drivers still found the station a safe haven 12 days after the Goil explosion. This young man has clearly thrown caution to the wind.
Masa, hey, na, I don't know what the filling station. So one day, now in time I actually one night yesterday. Oh, one night, but now I don't know what that fuel company and check. What's it? And yes, she now unso say baby bail. And yet, she. And then first time I order her, and I say I did order her. Tembia, what's it? Hana Muda. And now it's true.
I have a tank and I'm feeling one on stop. And she said, other filling station.
Okay.
I answer it to the better
Okay.
The June 3 fire did little to change people despite the impact of the disaster. In other jurisdictions, fuel and gas stations are to maintain 100 to 200 meter distance from residents. The law in Ghana is silent.
So across the country, we're going to go around all the stations, even those that we know have permits, to see if they have added on activities which endanger all of us who go to those stations to refuel. Some of them have added kitchens and restaurants. Some have added places for roasting kebab, and then they are using LPG gas, receptacles there that endanger all of us.
The fire service admits the nature of the disaster will influence future cases relating to such fires.
To everybody, I think not only the fire service, all regulatory agencies will actually look at it. This is the first time that we have seen a filling station flooded and that a situation of this nature happen. So we will investigate along this and see what we can do. What is the actual cause of it? Then we will be able to educate people and to mitigate some of those dangers.
Those who will wish to apportion blame. And quite truthfully, there's plenty of blame to go around. But when we list one by one the various mistakes and failings that contributed to this catastrophe, I hope it is not for the purpose of pointing fingers, but rather of making certain that something of this nature never again happens to our dear country.
Survivors of the disaster will forever live with the scars. The memories of June 3 will never be erased from their minds. The recurrence of the June 3 disaster can be prevented if desperate measures are taken in these desperate times.
To make you feel my love.
Bridget Otu, TV3.
And this is still Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. If you check your clock, it's just a minute to the top of the hour, 9 a.m. And of course, we are continuing with our conversation about the June 3 twin disaster, that flood and fire disaster that occurred in 2015. And if you were also following us on Facebook, we're showing you that documentary, bringing memories that a lot of people really would wish they would not have again. Since 2015, since that time. We still have in the studio with us Mr. Amo Yate. He is a Director, Inspectorate Division of the National Disaster Management Organization. I know you've been talking about this since you walked in this morning, but having watched the documentary and the memories perhaps that were brought back to you, I'm just wondering what you're thinking about really what happened and whether or not we've learned anything.
Yeah, let me say good morning to your listeners, and then if there are viewers on social media,
yes, on our Facebook page,
who is linked up with this program this morning. June 3 was a sad day, and for me as a disaster manager, I'll say until then we had never encountered anything like that, and then we all hope and are doing things to ensure that this kind of disaster does not occur, or even if it should occur, the impacts will be mitigated drastically. Very sad day.
Yesterday, on the 3rd, which was Tuesday, we had some of the victims gathering around the place where the incident happened. Some of them, the kind of expressions that they gave us, it was as if the incident had just happened because they were still living the pains. And at the time our cameras were there were no representatives of any government institution. I'm just wondering whether you had the opportunity, when I say you, NADMO, you had the opportunity to go interact with them and to find out whether there's anything more that could be done from your point of view to help.
Our Metropolitan Office, that is the Accra Metropolitan Office of NADMO, was part of the event to commemorate the occurrence. But when the incident occurred, NADMO, we played our role and did all that we had to do as an organization to save lives, protect property, take care of the injured, and then even some resettlement for affected persons. So we did all that we had to do then, and then the matter was brought to a close by NADMO.
How would you assess your efforts since that time up until now? Because like I said, there are still people who feel that they haven't received the kind of help that should be given them.
When people say they haven't received the kind of help, we don't know what kind of help.
So for instance, there was a woman who claimed that she had 3 children with a husband. The husband died in that incident, and aside from the government and agencies like yourself coming in to pay for the funeral and the immediate health care of anybody who was injured in the family, it looks like she's been left alone to take care of the 3 children herself.
Post the emergency phase, after government has supported burials and then taking care of all those who were hospitalized, some resettlement packages were paid to some of the victims. I don't have the records available right now to tell you the numbers and how much each victim, but it was based on an assessment that was conducted on each one of them, and then some resettlement package was paid. Yesterday, I was on another program with some victims, people I could identify, and I knew they were in NADMO and they were part of the team. A lot of, even TV3 was spearheading some of these things. Yeah.
Like I said, we were there actually.
Yeah. And then we knew that you even raised funds for them. And then government also supported them, and then some resettlement package was given to them. But most of these people, when they have a platform like this, they're always complaining, nobody has come to their aid. So, it's not fair to those of us involved. It's not fair. It's because they just want sympathies. Yeah. But then I think you should also stop giving them the platform, especially the platform like yours, because you were deeply involved, and then you even supported in raising funds for them. So if the same people are here and complaining that they have not received any support, then we all wonder what they're talking about.
Or sometimes it could just be isolated cases, because you say you know the people.
If there's an isolated case, You come to the agency, we go through the records, and then we do the needful.
But let's talk about whether or not we've learned anything, because I'm sure you're aware that after the incident happened, there was a committee that was set up. There were a number of recommendations, some of which were banning plastics or limiting the use of plastics, ensuring that our drainage system was working properly. And even when it comes to fuel stations, I know that shortly after the incidents, the agencies went around closing fuel stations that didn't meet the standards, quote unquote. Would you say that we've done what we're supposed to do 10 years down the line?
Is it like you said, you talked about recommendations. Every recommendation and the agency that had to deal with it. To be fair to the agencies, I've not done any evaluation on the agency's performances to determine whether they've done right.
So I'm talking. I'm sure NADMO, you keep assessment, or you assess how things are going moving forward. So that's what I'm asking from your perspective, whether or not really what we are supposed to be implementing from that time till now, from the information you've gathered within your agency, you think we've been able to do what we are supposed to do, so that should there be another incident, we'll not see the kind of death we saw.
From my agency perspective, what we needed to do, or the lessons we learned from June 3, was how to adopt a multi-hazard approach to emergency response. Because until then, we were only responding to multiple hazards across the country. Fire here, floods there. But never did we imagine flood and water combining to cause that incident. So that was the key lesson we learned, that we need to adopt a multi-hazard approach. And then later events like COVID-19 and others have all affirmed that we need to have a multi-hazard approach to emergency response. So that is where we are focused on.
How would you say NADMO is coming up as regards to that? Because the recent flooding that happened as well, 3 people died, unfortunately, including a child. And after the floods, certain, information coming out indicating that, for instance, one of the areas that wetlands include Abokobi, for instance. Now the whole place is filled with development, silt. We are aware of what the Greater Accra Regional Minister is also doing at the Ramsar site, just to, reduce flooding across the capital city. How is NADMO helping in that area to ensure that we reduce the impact of flooding in the capital city?
Let's look at this situation. Accra generally is a flow-line area. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the Greater Accra metropolitan area, it has 9 drainage basins, starting from the Densu to the Sakumo, where currently we are having that demolition exercise to protect the Ramsar site. So these are the things that are done by the citizenry to reduce infiltration in the increased runoffs, and it is the runoffs that flood communities. And then everybody is always calling for enforcement. Let us also look at compliance. Why are we, as citizens of this country, not ready to do the right thing to protect our own lives, our own property?
But is that not why there are laws? Because people will generally not do the right thing until you enforce.
But if the people doing the wrong things outnumber those who are supposed to enforce, then we have this kind of situation. How many building inspectors are in the assemblies? And how many unauthorized structures are being constructed? The non-compliance is so overwhelming.
But is it not an excuse? Because we have assemblies, district assemblies, municipal assemblies. We have workers there who are taking salaries every month. And so when there is a construction going on, sometimes you will see stop work, produce permit. And that stop work, perhaps it was put there before the roofing stage. It would be left until the whole thing is completed, sometimes even painted. So to what extent are you ensuring that people are still compliant? Because like I said, if they don't want to do it, you have to do something about it.
If they don't want to do it, you enforce. Some of the enforcement measures are what is happening in the Sakumono, Klagon area. These are all enforcement measures. But what I'm saying is that if there are more people not complying than the number of people who have to enforce, or that the resources available for enforcement.
The point I'm making is that perhaps the assemblies, and NADMO would be part of it, are not being proactive enough, because that's why I cited the example of district assemblies. You have people who work in the offices. It's just a matter of zoning. Okay, today Kofi Mensah is going here, and then you're zoning, you're monitoring what's going on within the assembly. So when somebody is putting up a structure that you do not have an idea of in terms of permit or anything, you will have the power, as it were, to inquire more about it and to stop it if it's not within the time, rather than waiting until like 10 more buildings are put up and then you're saying you're overwhelmed because so many people are doing the wrong thing.
Like what you talked about, you visit a place, you're a building inspector, you visit a place on Friday, stop work, produce permits, that's a timeline. You go. You have a very vast area to cover. By the time you come back, the structure is completed.
You demolish it.
It is not that easy to demolish. It is not that easy to demolish.
Again,
you say it like demolish, but it's not that easy to demolish. A lot of things go into demolition. And by the regulations, even if you demolish, the person has to surcharge with the cost and all that.
So you're saying that you put stop work on the building or on the structure. By the time you come back, everything is done. Why do you have to give that long time? If I say stop work, the next week, 2 weeks later, 1 month later, I'm coming back.
The resources available. The resources available. That I ask the question: how many building inspectors are in the assembly? How vast is the area? How many are there? How many uncompleted unauthorized structures are being developed? It's all over the place. So we must get our citizens to understand that complying with these regulations is not just about paying the fee. Most people think that government wants their money because of the fee they have to pay. But I always say that compliance is disaster risk reduction. So if you comply with any regulation, it is in your own interest to comply. If you have complied with building regulations, you wouldn't be building in a Ramsar site. You wouldn't be affected by floods. Even earthquake. Sometimes if you build well, your building will be able to resist some levels of magnitude. So we must understand that compliance is disaster risk reduction.
Mr. Ate,
and stop calling always for enforcement. And we are always outwitting the enforcement officers.
That's what I'm saying is that I believe the assumption would be right to say that Ghana, we have over 33 million people. Yeah. And obviously not all the 33 million people will be working in agencies that are supposed to be ensuring that people do the right thing in the local assemblies. Don't you think that it is inefficiency on the part of these agencies? Yes, I get the point of the corporates being more than those who are supposed to be enforcing the law, because you're supposed to ensure that these things are prevented. We are supposed to, even a lot of the time, you have a land, you're supposed to map the areas. This is for road, this is for church, this is for that.
No, you see, sometimes we speak as if the agencies don't know what they have to do. But we must stop and think, do they have the resources? Are they adequately resourced to do what they have to do?
What do you need?
I asked a question. How many building inspectors are in the assembly? Do they even have vehicles to move around? Do they have motorbikes to move around? And how vast is the area that they cover? Let me give you NADMO. Ever since I've been in NADMO, there's never been an occasion where all district officers have vehicles.
Excellent.
So how do they do monitoring? How did they go around? So you cannot condemn agencies when you don't ensure that they have all the resources needed.
Mr.
It's only when they have all that you can condemn.
And again, the other side of the coin is how long are we going to be complaining that we don't have what we need to work? If we're taking what happened
so
on
long
June,
as you don't have it, you keep complaining.
Just a second. We have managers. I don't think that everybody in these agencies just work without having authority. We have managers who go for monthly or annual meetings. You do your budgeting and all of that. So if we are taking, for instance, just the last 10 years alone, we cannot be complaining from 2015 that we haven't had resources, and in 2025, 10 years after this disaster, we're still complaining of the same thing. So what happens at the monthly or annual meetings? What happens to the budgeting? What happens to all those things when they are supposed to be ensuring that these are brought in?
Resources have never been adequate. Resources were inadequate. Resources are still inadequate. You have some resources, yes, but not adequate resources. So you do the best that you can with the resources available to you. But the bigger problem I'm saying is that the people who are outwitting the agencies, who are outsmarting the agencies, who are not complying with the regulations, far outweigh the resources available for enforcement.
So NCC, for instance,
majority of the people are not ready to comply with regulations. We keep having this situation.
NCC, for instance, is supposed to be helping with education. I believe different kinds of education in these areas. What efforts has NADMO made towards collaborating with NCC to ensure there's a lot more education going on?
We do education. Education is key. Creating awareness, sensitizing community is key to this, because when you want to look at disaster risk reduction, knowledge is a key pillar in reducing the risk of disasters. So we do and collaborate with anybody who has a role to play in educating and then sensitizing the public. We have the Information Services Department on our disaster management committees around the country. So we have the men, in terms of the men, we have them. But then look at the Information Services Department. Do they have vehicles to go around into the communities? NADMO directors, do they have vehicles to go around into the communities? Police, do they have enough vehicles to monitor? So every agency involved in delivering is handicapped.
But at least we can say that the police for some time
our resources to do the best that we can in every situation. And then if citizens were complying with regulations, and then we had a few people recalcitrant, of course it should be expected. We wouldn't have 100% compliance. But then if we have a higher non-compliance than we have for compliance, then...
The point I'm trying to make is that...
So I think that the media should focus on educating the public rather than attacking agencies for not enforcing.
Excellent. And we'll be moving on to other things as regards what you've been able to do in terms of with your limited resources. But the point I'm trying to make is that you will not get a lot of people being compliant until you force them to be compliant. And I think a typical example is what has been happening in our market areas, and I'm sure you're aware about the Accra Metropolitan Assembly going to markets to clear people off the street. If we are persistent with that, you have people in the market. Right. So just coming back to the point of ensuring that you have the systems in place to get a lot more people to comply with whatever structures that have been put in place for the benefit of the nation.
This Accra Metropolitan Assembly thing that you took, is it the first time it has happened? We started calling this thing Abaye in the 90s. But every time they're on the streets. And sustaining this kind of operation by the Assembly is the issue. Because it calls for a lot of resources. Extra resources that could go into other sectors. And with the limited nature of resources available to us, these things sometimes are not sustainable.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Excuse me. Why do people want people to force them before they do the right thing, before they save their own lives?
Human beings are human beings.
Because they don't understand that it's a life. Compliance is life-saving. They don't understand.
I want to find out from you. You said you have limited resources, and one of the things that NADMO is also supposed to be doing is emergency, shelter for emergency accommodation when there is a disaster. How far would you say you've come with that so that you're able to help people in dire need in such situations?
Every community in Ghana You see, when you talk about emergency shelters, you must be specific to a particular incident. We have flood shelters that we call safe havens. We call them safe havens, and then there are places that we have identified to be a little bit on the high side and not prone to flooding. So when there are floods in communities, we advise people to move to safe havens and take shelter.
So in Accra, can you tell us which areas you've identified or cordoned off, as it were, as safe areas?
See, those places are mostly public places that we make use of. We don't have our own constructed structures as safe havens.
Why?
We make use of public places like schools, which are not flood prone, churches, any public place that we have identified in the community as not being flood prone. Then we speak to the management, the owners, and then we make use of them during the emergency.
But in addition to these public places, what is NADMO itself doing to ensure you have enough?
In terms of using the public places, I would say we have enough, but we have not constructed areas. We don't have areas we have constructed as safe areas.
You don't think at this stage is necessary?
I've talked about the inadequacy of resources.
So then what do you use the resources for?
What resources? You ask me what resources.
You're saying inadequate resources. You're saying inadequate resources. So if you have, just a second, sir, if you have, say, 10 Ghana cedis and you were expecting 50 cedis, but you say that the 10 Ghana cedi is not enough, at least that 10 Ghana cedi should be able to do something. So that's what I'm asking for.
Operational cost alone. Operational cost alone does not leave us with money for constructing shelters, safe shelters.
So the operational cost would involve what and what exactly?
Oh, basic, like making sure that the officers are running, the emergency response systems are running, making sure that we are able to respond, and then also doing some strategic stockpiling for emergency response and all that. And all these things come at a heavy cost.
Stockpiling, what does that involve?
Some basic relief items, because relief items are given out on the basis of a needs assessment, but we always have some strategic stock that allows us to immediately attend to the most needy persons before needs assessment, then we procure.
And these relief items are, do they primarily, and I'll go to the other side of it because I know NADMO also receives a number of donations as well. These relief items, would you say that that's what you use the limited resources for as well?
I'm not saying that is, we procure relief items, yes, from the resources that we have. We procure relief items. And then when it is beyond us, we call for help, and then we have donors coming in to support us. But you have to start before you can call for help. You don't start by calling for help.
In all these conversations, what I've heard you say is we don't have adequate resources, vehicles, finances, all of that. You have the men, but what to make you become more effective, you don't have that. To what extent have you reached those who are supposed to be providing what you need so that you're able to you're efficient at your work?
Oh, you see, NADMO is under the Ministry of the Interior, and I know, and I believe that my Director General, he is the head of the organization appointed by the President, and I know that he liaises with all the authorities that we have to liaise with for what we need. And then, you see, don't single out NADMO. There is no institution in Ghana.
Well, I'm talking to a representative from NADMO.
But we know the situation in the country.
But you see, that's what I have a problem with. When we always want to say we know the situation in the country where we don't always have enough, we will always leave the problem unresolved.
Your media house faces the same challenges. You don't have all the resources that you need. So don't expect that another person has all the resources that they need.
But the important thing is that at least you're able to respond to majority of people when they need it.
Yeah, and then we do it. We respond. There's no incident that we have not responded to. We have said that we don't have resources, so we won't respond. We do the best with the resources available. Yeah.
So let me find out from you, what have you heard from your bosses, should I put it, as regards what kind of immediate perhaps resources are being made available, something that you need urgently to be able to make your work more efficient, that you know, let's say by the next quarter or by the end of the year, you're going to have it and your work will be much better than you've had in previous months?
No, I have not discussed that, so I wouldn't be able to speak to what the arrangements are. I have not discussed it, so I cannot speak to that.
You're still here on Sunrise. We're having a conversation with Mr. Amo Iyate. He's Director, Inspectorate Division of the National Disaster Management Organization. Just really talking about the efficiency of NADMO, what to do to make it better. Of course, very shortly and hopefully we'll be speaking to Mrs. Francisca Mate, who is Director, Research and Applied Meteorology at GMET. So we're hoping to just have that conversation very shortly. Just stay with us.
Get ready, Ghana. The road is calling. The wheels are spinning. It's the 3FM Tour du Ghana, happening Saturday, 21st June, 2025. From the heart of Accra to the border town of Aflao, we are paddling for the planet in a thrilling 192-kilometer ride across Ghana's scenic Eastern Corridor. Whether you're a scenic cyclist or a passionate paddle pusher, it's your moment to shine. Form your teams, grab your helmets, and race for glory in Ghana's biggest cycling showdown. Challenge your limits, conquer the distance, ride for sustainability, be part of history. To register, call 053-1100-927 or 053-2200-927. 3FM Tour du Ghana, powered by 3FM.
Sponsored by Malta Guinness, Fruteli, and Qua Naturals.
Accra, Ghana, Africa, and worldwide. Join us on Inspirational Gospel Mix this and every Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Get ready for the revolution. Come on, what you say now?
I just wanna praise you.
3FM.
King of kings and Lord of lords, lover of my soul, Jehovah, one and only God. I am Jesus Christ, the Holy Lamb. They come for you, they come for you, they come for you.
What is your favorite scripture?
Well, my favorite scripture is Romans 8:28, and it says, all things work together for the good to them that love the Lord. Kwame, that is absolutely my favorite scripture.
Yes, your Inspirational Gospel Mix, a moment to get inspired with the best of inspirational songs and interviews to get you prepared for the new week. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. with me, your big brother, Kwame Adu, mixing G, mixing gospel. You can't miss it. You are blessed as you listen. 3FM 92.7.
Greetings in the name of His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie Jah Rastafari.
It has always been a journey of Pan-Africanism and consciousness. It is your regular taxi driver with the urban blend and 3FM 92.7 in living stereo every day, Monday to Friday, from 12:30 p.m. till 3 p.m. This is the show everybody listens to, so your business will certainly do well here. My name, Black Rasta. I am the rootical, heatical, Don Gargan, Mua Fire,
Rhythm come forward.
Atinga ya chika fankare, Azure ya chika fankare, Abama ta chika fankare.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
And this is still Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We are continuing our conversation with preparedness for disasters. We've had in the studio with us Mr. Amoyate. He's Director, Inspectorate Division of the National Disaster Management Organization. Before we went on that break, I was telling you that we'll shortly be having Mrs. Francis Kamate, Director, Research and Applied Meteorology at the Ghana Meteorological Agency. She joins us live on the phone. Good morning to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
A number of people have been impressed with Ghana Meteorological Agency regarding your accurate forecast of things that are about to happen. Just tell us, in the last few months, really, what has been helping you do that. Let's start off from there.
It's technology.
So you're saying that you've had a lot of investment?
When I say technology, if you say accuracy, it does not mean that from the past, our forecasts were not accurate. But here is the difference. Those years, we had only one radio station. We had only one landline to communicate. We had only one TV station, that was GTV. And so once we do the forecast, let's say at 12, maybe 12 noon, we bring it to GBC to broadcast it for us. A system is coming around 4 p.m. The broadcast is around 7 p.m. You see that as fast. So it was coming true, but the way of dissemination was the problem. But now when I say technology, we are still having the forecast accurately, but now once we give out the forecast that if the rain is coming, we should expect this, you see that because of the power of the phone, power of the many radio stations, the dissemination and the communication goes faster.
I see. Understood. Yes. And already the rains have started coming in. Obviously, a number of people who don't live in good areas are concerned. When I say good areas, I mean flood-prone areas, and sometimes just, the structure of the areas they live within. What are you able to tell us in terms of what we should expect in the coming days, for instance?
We are in June. When we did the forecast for the southern sector, the major, I was in your studios to educate the populace on what we're expecting. And our peak season is within May and June. And so once we are in June, we have to look out for what will happen. That once the ground is inundated, it has rained, and then the ground is choked with water. The next one is it will overflow. And once it overflows, then people will suffer. So we should look out for more rains.
We should look
out for more rains. It are not broken. The rains have not ended yet. And people in the flood-prone area should be careful. As we always say, they should move to higher ground. And then they should set their place of where they live in order. So when the rain ceases, then they can come back.
That's the forecast given or being given us by your office, for instance. Are you able to tell us what kind of collaborations you have with other agencies? I want to believe that you're not just giving the information to those who are living there, but also other agencies may be aware, so they prepare to help those who are living in such areas.
Oh, yeah. So NADMO is there in the seniors' offices. We are always in touch with NADMO. We give the forecast, then they ignite their alerting systems, so they work with it. We are in touch with the local government. We are in touch with municipal authorities. We are in touch with, when it comes to agri, we are in touch with the Ministry of Agri. So all the government agencies that are supposed to work with us, we are in touch with them. We have a committee of them, early warning systems, and so on and so forth.
We've had
so we don't do the work in isolation.
We've had Mr. Yate in the studio for some minutes, and one of the things he's spoken about has been challenges. Ghana Meteorological Agency, what would you say are some of the challenges that are still hampering your work that you wish could be dealt with as soon as possible so you're able to collaborate better and do your work effectively?
So the issue will be with the communication bit. And I think with the communication bit, it goes very well. It's ongoing. With NADMO, for instance, as I said, we have alerting systems with them. And then they work with those alerting systems. So when you say for us to communicate, I think, those are some of examples of what we are doing. So we have working systems with the radio stations in the cosmopolitan areas, in the rural areas, and so on and so forth. It would be good if we get more dissemination channels to give with them. Again, yes, those will be the major things, so that we can bring out the communication bit to the populace when we get the opportunity.
But at least overall, if I hear you correctly, so far so good in terms of challenges.
Oh, challenges, if we say we are many challenges, we wouldn't finish challenges. But I think that we are always having help when it comes to challenges. Then I would say maybe we'd have to get our also weather stations almost in all the everywhere in the country. So there should be the weather stations that will give us the data for the forecast. But with that, once we are doing and we are coming on, government is helping us, World Bank is helping us. We are getting more weather stations and so on and so forth. We are working with it. We are using satellite data to work with it, so on and so forth. So what is needed is to get the forecast to the end user. That's the most important thing. Because you have admitted that people are impressed with our forecast. So it's not that we are not getting the forecast correctly. So once we are getting the forecast correctly, what will help is getting communication channels and then working with it. I think that is it. And people also trying to learn when we bring the forecast out, people trying to make efforts to understand our forecast and so on.
And I know you talked about the fact that we should expect more rains June, July, but are you able to tell us as well within the next 1 to 2 weeks what kind of weather we should expect? And I know when you have rains as well, sometimes these rains come with strong winds and really like a rainstorm. Should we expect that in the next 1 to 2 weeks before you go?
Yes. Once the rainfall is coming, it comes with strong winds. Because, again, we expect, as we brought the forecast from we expect longer dry days. So once there are dry days and the winds are dry, when we come and we see that the system is coming, it comes with a lot of gas. And that is what is bringing up those breakages. So with this, now, as I said, we are in the peak season. We need to work and get the forecast accurately. We brought it in the newspapers. It's on our website. The daily forecast is there. We need to work with the day-to-day forecast to see. We normally give how it will go, the intensity, and all those things. The next 2 weeks, we should watch out for rainfall. But again, for the north, this is for the south, and as I came to the studio the last time, I said yes, we pay so much attention for the north. For the south, we don't pay attention for the north. The north, so when we say June, July, August is for the north, and we are expecting some more rainfalls there because the rainfall is shifting to the north. And so we watch out for that one too.
And the understanding is that we should expect strong winds as well. What would you advise people to do within the within the 1 to 2 weeks period that we are just talking about now? Hello?
Hello, I'm here.
Yes, I was asking you what you would advise people to do within the, from now till the next 2 weeks, because I heard you say or admitting that we should expect some strong winds as well accompanying the rains. What would you advise people to do?
We should be careful. You know, natural disasters are very dangerous. When they get you, you cannot get yourself out of it. So once this 1 to 2 weeks, we are in the peak of the rainy season. We should watch out. Once the radio stations are coming out that this is what GMS says, NADMO is always on standby. Once we say this is what GMS is saying, people should watch out for the daily weather and see how it will go. They should put themselves in the protective gear, like they should protect themselves and look out. Those who are in flood-prone areas, they should look out. When we are driving along and the wind gusts are so much, we should be careful and go to a safe place, an open place. When we are walking, the rainfall starts, we should keep ourselves somewhere safe. When the rain is over, we get into where we are going. That is most important. That's what we are talking about.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Francis Kamate, for speaking to us. And they had Mrs. Francis Kamate. She's Director Research and Applied Meteorology at the Ghana Meteorological Agency. There you have it. Be careful, especially in the next 1 to 2 weeks, because of the kind of weather that we are expecting. We still have in the studio with us Mr. Amo Yate. He's Director, Inspectorate Division of the National Disaster Management Organization. We heard Mrs. Mate telling us that indeed there's a strong collaboration between even your office and her office as well. But first, your comment on the information she just gave us.
Yeah, every day, well, at the beginning of the year, they gave us the outlook for the year. And about that, every day, every morning, evening, they give us the forecast for the day. In the evening, they give us forecasts throughout the night and the next day. And then intermittently, when they sight any storm approaching, what we call the weather warnings, they will communicate with us. So once we get the information, we ensure that it goes down to the districts and into the zones where we use community information centers to broadcast that warning to the communities.
You know, the interesting thing, we'll continue, but I just saw the woman I just spoke to on the phone. Apparently she's here, and that's quite interesting. So she's joining us in studio.
So sorry.
Okay.
Oh, so you were just...
You were just around here. Oh, wow, the deception of technology, isn't it? You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
You're welcome to the studio. So yes, please speak directly into the microphone for us. So you just really gave us the update on what we should expect in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Today, well, yesterday the weather was quite okay. Today, what should we expect? You've given us already the general view of what we should expect in the next 14 days, but in terms of today?
So today, this morning, there was supposed to be...
Please get a bit closer. Okay, the technical person will come and help you out. Please go ahead. Okay, so please, whilst Madam gets ready with her data, you were giving us update on the level of collaboration you have
on a daily basis. Yes. And then intermittently, when there's a need for a warning, they give it to us. And then we make sure it goes down to the communities. In the communities, we have what we call the information centers in communities where the information goes. And then we have volunteers in some communities who help people. So what we tell people is that those who know they're in flood-prone areas, we show them where the safe haven is in that community for them to move in. Or have our hotlines so that in the event that you are sheltering in your home and the flood waters comes in, flows in, you will be able to call for help.
So it just dawned on me that we've been talking more of floods. Aside from floods, what other major areas does NADMO pay attention to in terms of disaster?
In this country, we have identified some hazards. We've identified the hydrometeorological hazards, that is floods, drought, windstorms, rainstorms. We have identified the geological hazards, earthquakes, rockfalls, and some landslides. We have the disease epidemics. We have cholera, we have CSM.
So currently you're working on Mpox as well?
Our disease epidemics unit is in touch with the Ghana Health Service. Yeah. Then we have the radiological and nuclear hazards. Then we have the pest and insect hazards. Before we have the technological hazard. Then we have the fires and lightning. So these are all hazards in this country that we work with.
And
technical
roads?
Agencies to mitigate their impact.
All right, Madam, I believe you're settled now. Mrs. Mate, you were about to give us the update on what we should expect today.
So I'll give you, but I wanted to contribute to what he said. So the hazards is mentioned. You can see that 70 to 80% are
Please go
rain. Rain, they come from the basis of rain. So the flooding or the weather phenomenon. Let's say the weather phenomenon. So the flooding, he said cholera, he said a lot of things. So drought, and then all are basis of weather. So it is important that we pay attention to weather phenomenon. And now, as I said the last time, whether we like it or not, the weather is with us, and we have to pay attention every morning before we leave out. Last thing at night, and
people are not usually used to it in this part of.
We would get used to, and we are getting used to,
because we don't have 4 seasons. Yes. People hardly check these things.
And then because when we say it is going to rain, apart from we are going to have gusts and windstorms and things, we will still go to our places of work and do still things. Not that serious, so we don't.
Well, some people won't even show up. They will say their road is flooded.
Well, so what will happen is that now where it is going, we would have to pay attention. It's something that we will have to deliberately do to stay safe.
Do I get the understanding that the kind of weather we're having is getting worse and worse every time because of climate change and a lot of other factors?
It is a factor. It is a factor. And when we do the analysis, you could also find out that rainfall seasonally, because our weather is seasonally, some places are increasing, some places are decreasing. And if it's the rainfall is decreasing, then we are going to have more dry days. More dry days also come with winds, you see. So once the wind blows, once the system is coming, the wind will blow very heavily, and then trees and things, rooftops and things will get all ripped off. So we have to pay attention, as you are saying.
Quite interesting point you just made, that we are having a lot more places getting more rain or less rain. Seasonally, as we have in Ghana. Are you able to tell us like which areas are being affected by this?
Even Accra is getting more rains.
Because Accra used to be the least in terms of rains.
But you see, you cannot compare it that way, because when you go to Elibu or you go to Axim, they have more rains. They are peculiar. When you come to this place all the way to Ablo, they have maybe less rains when you compare to that Elibu. But this is also peculiar to its place. So when we say increasing, it will never get to that of Takrady or that of Elibu. But it will also have its peculiar range of rains. And that will cause, and as I heard him say, Accra, we know that it is a marshy area. So once the rain falls, 20 millimeters of rain, 30 millimeters of rains, we have issues. And then where we don't need to get into the water space or the space of gutter and those things, we have built.
Let me just get today's update, and then I'll get final words from both of you.
Today's updates, for the morning, we have low likelihood. So in Accra, we are supposed to have a low likelihood of rains and a low impact. Then in the afternoon, Accra, we are going to have a medium likelihood and a low impact.
So medium likelihood means what?
So
we should expect drizzling?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it means that there's a likelihood that it will occur. 40
It
to
will rain.
60% chance, yes.
Okay.
But the impact will be
minimal.
low. Yeah, minimal.
Okay.
But when we go to Takoradi, we go to Asankagwa and so on, they are going to have medium likelihood and medium impact.
Okay.
So they would have to pay attention because theirs will come.
Theirs will come.
Yeah.
Okay. Yesterday, whilst driving home, I think that was after 6 p.m. or so, I was told there was heavy rain after Peduase Lodge going into the eastern region, but Accra was very dry. So that's the kind of weather we should expect across the country today.
Yes. But towards the north, we don't expect any rainfall.
Please give us your final words. I know I asked you earlier when we were speaking on the phone about your advice for people in the next few days. But aside from that, what will be your final words in terms of weather?
So I'll reiterate what I said. For the weather, nowadays, it is not a luxury. It is important. We should pay attention to the weather so that we save ourselves and save our family members and save our friends.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Mate. And I want to hear your final words as well, Mr. Amuyate.
Yeah, I would say that in this one rainy season, there are 3 things. Before the rains, you have to prepare. Listen to weather information. You listen to weather information. If you know you live in a flood-prone area, important documents, try and then store them in plastic bags or containers. Other valuables should not be on the ground. You should have a shelf, something where valuable equipment and property will be kept. When the floods occur, you have to stay alive. You have to survive. You can survive first by staying wherever you are. If the flood waters have not moved into your room, because it will fill the area, the drains, and before it starts entering your room. As soon as you notice flood waters entering your room, call emergency hotlines. 112, which is the National Emergency Hotline, or you can call NADMO direct on 0299 350 030. Rescue teams will come and get you. Don't drive through flood waters. Don't say I have a 4x4 vehicle, so I have a V8 vehicle, I can. No, it's dangerous. Don't walk through. There are people who are trained and they will navigate through the flood waters to come and get you.
If you would kindly repeat those numbers so people listening can take note.
The National Emergency Hotline is 112. 112. And then you can reach NADMO direct on 0299 350 030.
The number?
0299 350 030. You can reach NADMO direct.
I want to say a big thank you to you, lady and gentlemen, Mr. Amuyate, Director, Inspectorate Division at the National Disaster Management Organization, Mrs. Francisca Mate, Director, Research and Applied Meteorology with the Ghana Meteorological Agency. The effort also to try and reach here as well. Thank you very much for joining us on Sunrise this morning.
You did very well for coming. Well, I was surprised to see you.
I did.
Mo me hu
And in less than 6 minutes, or let's say within 6 minutes, AJ Akwako Sapong will be here with the 3 Lounge. He'll be having a Nigerian musician, Meya Kun. So you want to stay tuned in. But let me bring some of your birthdays to you.
The best in the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3 FM.
So let's hear your birthdays.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to
So when you hear that, you know that it's time to wish you a happy birthday. And we'll start with Reverend Father Emmanuel Obed Kwao. Your loved ones are saying a very big and glorious happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, Reverend Father Emmanuel Obed Kwao. We also do have Dr. Andy Okra, Acting CEO of Tree Crop Development Authority. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday to you, sir. Also, happy 50th birthday to Nana Osei Dankwa, a.k.a. Tizo. I hope I got that correctly. He's the president and founder of the Green Republic.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday as well to you, Rebecca Ashley of Echo Bank East Airport Branch. Also to you, Harriet Teresa Hughes, a.k.a. Ekia Gaga. Okay.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to Manini Mani.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to 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 Happy birthday.
Oh, and happy birthday to you, Odoy Mensa. So this is from your wife. She calls you my fruity. Okay. And I'll read the full message to you. It says, your wife, Sechiwa, says, happy birthday to you, Franco Doy Mensa, my fruity. May the Almighty God bless you with more grace, favor, longevity of life and prosperity. You're always in my thoughts and prayers. I want you to know that you are the reason I wake up with a smile on my face every day. Okay. You are my rock and my best friend. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. Cheers to many more adventures together. Okay.
To you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, happy.
And Enyonam Haliga is here with the news on top of the hour.